Yeah, in the last class, we see about algorithm problems and flowchart representation. And today we are going to discussing about the compiling and linking to the C program and also inclusion of introduction to the C program. Yeah, okay. Yeah, just a little bit the topic that is compiling linking with to the C program. That's I'll send that PPT to you, but just I'll explain. So, okay. The compiling source that's depend on their codes. That means here we can able to understand the what we are talking, and but computer it is not a like that. It's a depend on the complete course source. I mean a source of a code. And if you're not providing the source or if you're not providing the code to the computer, it's not able to understand what we are giving to the commanding to the system. For that purpose, a computer it can be understand the language that's maybe we what we are giving is that maybe a binary instructions or maybe those binary instruction it is called as a machine language. And before what we are going to do that say program the computer it can be run. That means uh, when we are going to start at the program, before that we have to install and before that we have to run the some softwares that is useful for to translate the source codes from source codes to the, I mean, from source codes to different codes what we are giving to that. From the codes to that, it is converting into the machine language or binary language. So the translation process is required for that. And the second one, it is how we can develop the program. Depending on that development of the program, the computer or a C language, how it is going to be performed. That's also the issue. Then the source, whatever it is giving to the computer or to the program, the source it is called as a compiler here. The compiler, it's a depend on their source code and what we are giving to the files as an input. And at the same time, after completion of that one, it is releasing. I mean, it's giving to the produce, or it's giving the result that is called as a output. We know that. The machine language, it's giving the instructions and it's creating by the compiler source that is called as a objective code. Each compiler, its own command, and it can be used to create the object code, and also to compile what we are using command, and that should be understand, and it should followed by the source or a file name. Source or a file name we will give to that. Suppose example per, if you are, please wait 1 minute. So before writing the C programs and a program, it's a programmer which uses the text editor and which is used to create or modify the files, and it's containing the C codes. Code, it is known as a source code. Source code. The file it's containing a source code, it is called as a source file. So after completion of that source file, we are going to creating the C source file, and the programmer must invoke the C compiler before the program, and it can be executed. That means run the program. Here the compiler means the source, what we are giving the sources, different sources, and we will giving the, it's a sequential. So after that creation of that C file, the programmer must invoke the compiler. That means it's related to the C code language, and he will be executing the, and I mean he will be starting that program before he's entering, or before he's giving the program, he will check the all the things. And sometimes using the C compiler at basic. So invoking that compiler, it's a system, it's a depend on that one. It is a basic. Yeah. And it has a two types of C compiler sources. One, it is a CC, and second one, it is a GCC. Yes. There is also a computer compiler, that means a C program compiler on a CD. We have That means we have a book. And additionally, we can download the free version of a SIG bin that has a GCC compiler. It's a known as a GCC compiler. It's known with guide it's giving to us how we will execute the program. We'll use the GCC compiler, and it is the compiler available when it is on a Linux system. But Linux system, it is interlinking the program. Before going to that, that means before entering to that course, we'll see whether the computer it is going to be supported for the software or not. That's also we have to check. And then all the grading, it's down on linux.glembc and education. EDU means education. It's known as education. And if you can use any other compiler, we run fast on the system where the grading it is being done. And again, there are differences between the compilers, and we only support the GCC compiler, and which we are using the interlinking of a Linux, interlinking of a Linux and education version. That means here, whatever program we are going to run, and that is having the Linux program, and it's interlinking with the education. That means the course we are giving. Yeah, invoking the GCC compiler. First, we'll attempt various types of a course. We will give the GCC or ANSI or WAL program dot. That means the program dot C means here is indicating the C program. It's indicating the C program. And it's a proof that is a proof where the PGMC means .c is a C program source file. That's only I'm telling. Whether it is indicating the program, PGM means shortcutly we are writing that is a PGM dot C means program dot C. It's indicating the writing of a C program, and it's indicating the C program source file. And again, ANSI, that means ANSI hyphen ANSI, it is also compiler, and it's one of the option. It's speaking about the compiler to adapt to that ANSI C standard. ANSI C standard means here it is indicating the C program whether it is executing or not. Whether it is executing or not. That is indicating by this ANSI, ANSI. And again, hyphen wall. The hyphen wall, it is also one of the options where we can use when we are going to the turn of all the compilers, and it's useful for to run the best programs or to best new programmers. So where the programmer is going to write a program or executing the program, he is getting the warnings from the different compilers. So how, suppose if you will give the wrong information or the wrong codes, you will enter. So that it's giving the warning. It's giving the warning. So here, shortcut we are calling that is the wall. It is an option to giving the warning to the programmer. If there any errors, if it is a find in that one, it's giving the warning. At the time, it's giving the warning. Then suppose there are no errors. If there are no errors in the program, it should be continuous. And again, we didn't get any disturbance. And the program, it is executable. That means the program, it is a in running condition. So that the warning it's not giving, and it's not displayed any hyphen like a val. So here, the GCC compiler names, GCC compiler names, which is an executable file, and the final output is the same, a dot out. After completion of that program, after completion of that program, it is indicating, a dot out. So here, GCC is speaking that's it's a collection of compilers. That means different source or different codes will be available, or different codes we are giving to the system, and group of codes sequentially they will be arranged, and the program it will be executable. And to execute the program, prompt and type, it's a that's a dot out means the program it is succeeded, and the program it is completed. Then we will get the result very promptly. Yeah. Again, although we call this a process, the compiling a program, what it is actually happen, or what it is actual program we are giving, whether we are reached or not. The GCC compiler, it's a collection of different codes, for a C program, and as well as a C++, and originally it was written by the programmer, and it's related with the operating system. And again, we provide regular and high quality releases when which want to work well on a variety or a native and across the targets. And we can use here Linux. That means Linux internal program we can use. As per that, the program process will be completed, and then finally it is reached to give the output. And there are three stages of compilation systems we have. One, it is that pre-processing. In pre-processing performed by a program, it's called as the preprocessor, and which modifies the source code. Where it is modifies the source code, it is in a RAM. According to that, preprocessor it's giving the direction. It's giving the directives, and preprocessor commands, and it's embedded in the source code. Yes, definitely. It's a internal linking. It's a depend on their source code, and which is a modified in a RAM according to the direction of this preprocessor, and the source code will be function. Yeah, strips, comments, and a white space from the code, and the source code is stored on a disk. It's not a modified, because of before enter the disk we have a chance to modify it. Once if it is entered into the RAM, and then we are not able to modify the codes. Before entering the RAM, only we can have a chance to modify the things. Your second state is a compilation. Yeah. What it is a computer or whatever the program it is going to be performed. It's a depend on the source code that is called as a compiler, and which translate the preprocessor modified source code into the object code. That means here source codes means the coding what we are giving to that, and it should be modified into the objective mode, or it should be modified into the objective code that is called as a machine language. And also we'll have to check the syntax errors also, syntax errors and warnings. How we will get that? If the program, maybe if it is a wrong, or the course maybe if you are giving the wrong, then directly it is showing the warning. It's showing the warning. How will get the warning? In a war, formation of a war, it's a giving the warning. The syntax errors, how we can identify that? The syntax error, or it's showing the mistakes where we are entering the source code. That means if we can enter the source code, if it is a wrong, the code maybe it is a wrong, then that, like example for the spellings or punctuations or incorrect labels, or maybe if it is uh, incorrect codes. If you are giving the wrong codes or wrong information, if you are enter or if you are type, and then automatically it will be created in a separated window and the errors will be shown. So these are all called the syntax errors here. And the warning also, it's just showing the same. If it is correct, then the program, it will be continued. So that saves the object codes to a disk file. If instructed to do the same, once you the source code, the object source code means once if it is converted into the object code, we call that the machine code or the object code. If it is entered into the disk file, whatever instruction we have given to the program, and according to that, that will be running, and according to that, that will be executable. There is no chance at all to change any codes, or there is no chance at all to change any language in that program. That's one thing. That's before that we have to check whether it is correct or not. What we are giving to the system in the formation of a source code. That before going to that, we have to before going to giving the program or running the program, write the program, we have to check the code once or twice. If in case if it is received any compiler errors, then what is happening? There is no object code will be generated. Because of what if the program, if it is only correct, if it is correct, then it is generated. If it is not corrected, the program it is not corrected. If it is any errors, if an error into enter into that system, then the program it will be stopped and automatically it will be stop the program, and then there is no object code will be created. Because that's the reason we are entering errors of the compiler. And again, an object code file will be generated if only warnings, not error, are received. That means if it is not identified any syntax errors or a warning or other any errors, if it's not received, then the object code or machine code will be generated. And next one, third stage, it is a linking. Linking means it is an internal combination. The internal combination which combines the program object code with other object code, and finally it is a produced executive program. That means in previous slide, you see, if there is no identification of any warnings or any errors. The file it is saved and the file if it is received correctly. And next one, the program it is going to be combined. Because of if you have entered the data or a codes or a compiler source, if it is a correct, then it's a created the object mode and it's converting into the machine code, and then finally it is produced or run the program or executable the same file. The object code where it will become the object code it will come from the runtime library. That means runtime library means here the program where it is going to started, and if it is a running mode, it is a running mode. That means the program if it is a running mode, the RAL will be settled down in a or stored in a library. Then the library it is produced where there is set of a low level codes and which are used, and it's a useful for to making of a compiler, and it is a proof some of the codes what we are giving whether they are going to in a running moment. This library, the runtime library, is useful for the codes which are converting into the from binary to the ternary systems. Then we have a chance to create the object file. That means machine files it is created. Save the executable code to a disk file on a Linux system. The file it is called as a.out. A.out means here in a Linux system internally linking systems, and it is a produced. It's a produced what we have targeted and what is our target and what is our necessary codes were generated, and that is our output, and it is called as a.out. Yeah, in a Linux operating system, it is very highly reliable and highly secure version. It is useful for the running of our database or running of our program. It's giving the strength to develop the codes, and it is easily to find out the errors. Okay, next. If any linker errors are received, that means if you can receive any errors in that file, then automatically we can say no file will be generated. No file will be executed. Program development using GCC. First thing it is editor. The editor means here it's consisting of a source file pgm.c. pgm.c is program of C. Then preprocessor, the data what we are entered into that is into the preprocessor. Then it is a modified source code in a RAM. Yes, in a RAM here we will enter the data depend on the course source. Depend on the source code in a RAM will give into the binary mode or compilation of a mode. The source code we will enter into that one, then it is a converting into the object mode. in a sequentially, the program will be created and it's converting into the object mode or object code file. And internally it's linking, and finally the program it is executed, and the final output will be released. You see here, the editor again it's interlinking with the editor. The linker it is interlinking with the editor, and the compiler it is associating with the editor. Here the editor means the source of the file what we are giving. The programmer is going to give a code that's called as a source file, and it is in a preprocessor. It's a participate into the preprocessor. Then there the file it is going to be modified in a RAM that is as a source code to the objective code. Depend on the compiler. The compiler it has a sequential core system, and finally it's linking with the linker. The process will be done here. Then it is showing the as a executive file that's we're showing that is a.out. It's a output. Yeah, simple C program. Just you see here, uh, the symbols also here we required. I'll tell you those symbols before going to write a C program. It's a required symbols. Those are called the punctuations. Yeah. Those punctuations one, it is semicolons. Yes. Semicolons, colons, commas, apostrophes, quotation marks, braces, brackets, and parentheses. These are all. See here, semicolon, colon, comma, apostrophe, and it's indicating a quotation. Then this is as a braces, brackets, and final one it is parentheses. These are all will be required and we'll use when we are writing a program, and it's a interlinking to the one code to the another code. Yeah. And then what's the importance of C? Just orally I'll tell you. C it is generally it is the language it has associated very closely with the Unix operating system, and it was developed from 1970 onwards almost, and it's contained the different programs, and it is useful to run the different programs. That means if the other programs if you want to develop, must we have an idea about C. You should write in a C language. Suppose example for some important ideas like C, it's a stem of a language, and it's associating with BCPL. That's a basic combined programming language, and it was developed by the Martin Richards. And the influence of a BCPL on proceeded indirectly uh, through the language of B. It was written by the Ken Thompson in 1970. Yeah, BCPL, it's a, and B are the type very less languages, whereas C it is provides the cores of all the data what we are using. Later, the developments will come in 1972. Dennis Ritchie at the Bell Labs writes the C, and in 1978, the publication of the C programming. And the same person was introduced into the world, and which is leads to revolution of a C program. And after that, as I told you, that is ANSI. It is a institute. It's a course. They were developed the different course.
वैसे भी उन्होंने पहले स्टाइल था इन्होंने तो जाओ शेयर करना
Yeah, ANSI. Yes, yes. This ANSI it's stands for that American National Standard Institute, and ASCII will be also there. On will ASCII it is American Standard Institute of Codes. With ASCII we will use in text files. We'll use that means if it is the codes we will provide it to the system, and it will be converting into the text code language. Text code mode it will be converting. Depend on the compiler source, it will be done or it will be converting into the text code. That is depend on the ASCII file. Here we will use the ANSI. And what's the importance of C? Why we will use?
Sir, what is the full form of ANSI, sir?
ANSI, it is American National Standard Institute.
Standard Institute, sir.
Yeah.
Thank you, sir.
Okay, it's okay. American National
Standard.
Yeah, Standard Institute. Standards Institute. Standards. Yes. Institute. And why and what's the use of a C? Yeah, it's a portability of a compiler. That means it's suitable for any compiler. And then we'll use here a standard library concept. And it's easily to find out the syntax. And also it is ready to access to the hardware when it's need. And C, it is also sometimes we are calling it is as a middle level programming language. And it's also supporting from low level languages to up to high level languages. And uses of a C, it's useful for to run the operating system and to identify the language compilers, and we will use the some assemblers. That means assemblers means here low level languages, and it's providing the correct information and It's giving the basic instructions. And it is also useful for to edit the text editors. And it is useful for to print spoolers also. Who is this spring cut? It's yeah, someone raised hand. Why US? Okay. And it is a useful for to supporting the network drivers in modern programs, databases, and language interpreters, and some other utilities. Yeah, C is also used for a general purpose of a language because of it's a popularly be using with a different language programmers. And how we can run the C program? We'll run the C program with using of this function. We have a editor. That means editor means here we will develop the codes and we will enter the data, and it's a depend on their source code or source file. Before that, it is participated in the pre-processing system. The source code into enter into the RAM, and it's converting into the as a machine language or object code language. And finally, it is interlinking with different codes. Then it is executable, and finally the result it will be displayed. And when it is running the program, the task to be, that means here the data we can enter into the binary numbers or a binary language, and then only the computer is easily to understand. And whenever the binary language will be entered into the RAM, then it will be converting into the machine code. Yeah. And finally, it is associating with the linker, and the program it will be executable, and final result will be displayed. Yeah, here we see that simple program. Practically, you can say that just one for it's a hello dot c dot c. It is indicating the dot c. It is indicating the C program. Yeah, then author here, whoever maybe that just you have to write the name and date we should write, and what we are going to write the program, the description we have to enter. You wanted to say greetings, hello, whatever. And final, the program it will be including with a different codes you see here. The symbols, the punctuations we have to follow. Whatever program if you are writing, after completion of that one, we should write between these punctuations. We'll use this punctuations. If you wanted to include the other things, we should write that the slash include and stdio studio dot h. That means h means in here it's a hello. It's saying the hello. And final output. The program maybe if it is a closed. The program maybe if it is a closed. And then we wanted to take the print out and then print up, we will give the command to that. And the program, if must and should, it should be, if it is a final state, then we can write that is within in a brackets. These two. Yes. Yeah. How we can write the program and what are the comments if you wanted to give to the computer or to the preprocessor directives. If any directive you wanted to give, and then again you have to write or you have to mention within the bracket the statements or whatever it is that, and after completion of that one, before starting of writing the program, you have to start with bracket and end with bracket after completion of that one. So whatever comment you wanted to add, then we use these brackets. These brackets we'll use, and between that we can enter the same data. And then after completion of that statement, we should mention again, we should write close with a bracket. What it is that comment? Comment, it is a descriptive text. So descriptive text which is used to help a reader of a program and to understand its content. That means content we can enter. Content we can enter in the form of a comment. That means descriptive text. In the form of a text, we enter the data. And all the comments must be given with the characters. That's only I told you. That is only. You see, here whatever comment if you wanted to give or if you wanted to add, then that should be into the within the brackets here, or characters. We're calling these characters or punctuations. Then only it is acceptable. You see here that's it. All the comments must begin with the character. Must begin with character. The star or a slash, whatever it is. Whatever it is that. And end of that, the same we have to mention. So these are all called as a comment delimiters. These indications or these characters or these punctuations will call as that is as a delimiters. The program header comment always comes first. Yes, whatever header it will be come first on a top. It's showing the as a head. Yeah. Yes, next. Preprocessor directives. Next one. Lines that begins with a slash in a column 1, it is called as a preprocessor directives. So here, the program, if it is starting, we can start a program. Then we will use here slash symbol. Yes, this slash symbol we can mention. So here, Sometimes we can use here this slash. Maybe the process, the command, it is in a processor. It's giving the directives. It's giving the directives. And then sometimes what is happening, we'll give the less than and the greater than. Between that, the content, it should be continuously. The program, it is a continuous. That means the program, it is going to be run. The program, it is going to be run. Here, it is indicating that the slash, it is including within the less than and the greater than symbols. That's showing as a stdio.h. Here, it stands for that standard input and output. The header file, it means header. std means it's the standard. I means it's input. O means output. O means output. Shortly, we should write that is as a standard input output dot h. So shortly, we can write that is stdio dot h. That means it has the information, whether it is the input data we are giving, and at the same time, we are giving the output data also. But it is related with the header method. Header file, it's relating with the header file. So that the functions we can mention here. And again, the header file was included because it contains the information about printf. Printf means here function. It is a print function. It is the output. It's the output. We can use the function that is when we are writing the program. Yeah. The same, it's a continuous with the previous one. When we are going to write our programs, there are some libraries which are having some functions which they help us to that we do not have a write in the same code or overcode. The same program, if you wanted to write, we use the repeatable, the command of a repeatable. But no need. Once if you written that one, and that the same program, it was stored in the library, and if you enter that one, automatically it is going to be displayed. So if it is not any change, it is displayed automatically with the same code. If you write the same code, then it is displayed the same code. But if it is not removable and we cannot write on over. Some of the functions are very complex and very long. Then how we can write very easily? We'll use the different codes ourselves and we'll make it very easier, and it's faster to write different programs. If different programs means different codes, depend on the different codes, we'll write a program and we'll continue the program very fastly. The functions are delimiters or punctuations. These are all very uses to make the language very easy and to learn the program very easily. So the functions are playing the very important role when we are writing the program, and it's which are useful to make it that very easier and to learn the program very easily. Yeah. And a while system. in integral int main, every program must have a function call. Every program, it's having the functions like codes are again it's a group of a codes. It's they're calling that is as a compiler source, and the program must ensure it has one function. It is called as a main. And it is started or execution when we are begins the program. The program it is going to be started, and mainly we will use here the parenthesis, which is placed. The parenthesis it's contain the source code, and the source code must and should it should be readability. Readability means here that should be perfect, and the sequence it should be clear. It has no any syntax, means errors, and then we didn't get any warnings. If it is not correct, if it is not readability, then the program it is not going to be completed successfully, and we'll get the errors, and the GCC cannot successful compile, and it's not creating the machine codes, and it's not linked to our program. The word it is indicating the main int and main, it is a value that's indicating the integral value, and we have to show that it is in a parenthesis, and the parenthesis following the preserved. The word main it is indicating that is as a function. The reserved word means that means there is nothing. The program it is completed, then finally it is showing as a void. After completion of that one, we'll or we didn't get information or we didn't get any result. That program we can say the program it's completed. And we see here braces a curly bracket. The left brace or a left bracket which begins the body of a free function, and it's a corresponding to right brace that means what I told you that is a previous slides here and here also. Here bracket it is indicating that the program we are going to write, just we can enter that left bracket, then you can enter, you can take one tab, like this. Then you have to what you are going to write the commands or course you can enter, and you can write it within the parenthesis, and after completion of that one you have to show that is as a semicolon, and the main statement or what the main words what you are going to express, and that must and should have to keep it between the quotation marks, and after that I go into the return. Return means go back, and you can show the semicolons. then the program it is over, or the function if it is over, then we can show that is as a right brace. So within the braces, within the braces or curly brackets, we have to write the every function. The left one, it is indicating that the starting of that the function, every function, and the right, it is indicating that it's a closing mode. The style is to place these braces on the separate the lines. We should mention that in a column 1, and it's intended to enter the function of the body 3 to 5 spaces. Yeah. In the column 1, that means simple statements we will give. Within a 3 or 5 spaces, that means about 5 words, we should finish. We should finish that work. That statement, it is going to be completed within that 3 to 5 spaces. And finally, we'll show that is as a right brace. And print F, hello, world, and the statement we can use that we keep in a quotation marks. That's we wanted to show that one. So here, yeah, we'll use the slashes. We'll use the slashes. That's a black slash or forward slash. Between that, we'll use and reverse exclam or not only exclamatory. We can symbol mention. We can mention that symbol, and that should be within a parenthesis. Then this line, it is a C statement, and it is called as the function of printf. Printf means the print function, the final one. It is a single argument parameter, namely that's a string, hello, comma, word, exclamatory, and backslash, including with n. And the statement you can show within a quotations. We'll show that is the same it within a quotations. Even the strings contain many characteristics or many characters. The string is speaking about that single statement it is given. We have one more chapter about strings and the files. Strings and the files. Those strings and the files, the strings, the statements, it's having the single line statements or a single sentences. Within a single sentence, the statement it should be finished and it's converting into a file. That is called as a string here. Yeah. Even though the strings, I mean, we can notice that the line ends with a semicolon. Again, you see here the statement it is closing with a semicolon. This one, the semicolon. You see. With the ends the semicolon. Yes, all the C statements, all the C programs, it is going to be end with mentioning of a semicolon. Whatever statement, if you wanted to complete it, or if it's a completed, you have to mention after completion of that statement, we should have to mention that is the semicolons. Next. Yeah, one more thing it is here we see the integral value that is indicating as a written 0 because the function of the main parenthesis it's a return an integral value and must and should the value it is indicating the 0 integral value 0 that's secondary. It is completed. It's completed then we can show that.
Sir, what is the use of reserved word, sir? What is the function of reserved word, sir? Reserved word. Previous, you tell the reserved word, sir.
I'm not getting your voice properly. Function.
So, what is the function?
Function. You wanted only function. Hello?
Sir, use,
Just
sir.
you type it.
Actually, what is the use of reserved word? Reserved word.
User word.
Yes.
Okay. Wait. Yeah. The function main it is a the function means here the statement we can show with using of different characters here. The characters maybe it is a semicolons, colons, and the commas, apostrophes, or whatever it is, braces, brackets, or whatever, parentheses. Here, the function it's containing all these characters. Function means here statement what we are going to write. Then again, the main work of these return, the return values, return means it is an integral value. It is showing the integral value. Whether it is indicating the value, whatever it is the value, finally, if it is that 0 or whatever it is that, the statement it is showing the return 0 because of that the return 0 it is indicating the program it is completed successfully. If it is not completed successfully, it will not shown like that. It will not shown like that. Some errors will be generated. The program it will not continue further. So that it's showing the merchant should it's showing the return 0 or 1 2 whatever it is that, but the integral value it's showing it should be shown. So then only the program it is correct. Okay. Yeah, the another program if you wanted to write. Yeah. The file source we have to show that is a
Call recording happening.
stars. What else? Yeah, if you wanted to continue to write the program after completion of that one, your file you have to mention that's maybe it's a project 1 or 2 whatever it is. Always you see here after we are mentioning the .c. .c means in a C program. That means you are writing in a C program. So that is the reason the file name we can give that's a project 1.c. The author or whatever it is you are wanted to make a project. So you should write the project title, date, and serial number, what it is that serial number or given whatever you want, and everything you should have to mention the within the stars. 2 stars we have to show the 2 stars. You have to show the within the stars. Yeah. And again, the program you can see here. Front slash and again front slash. Between that, the program should be there. That means it's indicating the program it is going to be started, and you have to write all these detail with using of that starts, and finally after completion of the starts, it is indicating the matter or course, it is indicating that, and again finally you have to close with the same, and the final output. If you wanted to including any with that one, the standard input and output, you have to write, and it's including. Including means continuous. The program it is a continuous. Including whenever you, if you mention including with these symbols, the program it is going to be continuously. And again, to integral value main, if you wanted to mention, to void, and final result it should be shown here. The final so the final result, it should be between the 2 braces, the left and the right braces. Between that, whatever data we are giving or whatever the program or a course we have given, and those codes it will be converting into the machine codes, and the result will be displayed successfully. Okay, this is one case. Okay, I am stopping here. The next class will be taken by Sunil sir. I hope he will be waiting for you. Okay, I'm stopping here. And tomorrow maybe I'll not take a class, and my sincere request it is you on Sunday, sorry, on Monday, you have to attend the class. How many members you have from our first batch? From here? How many are there from here? First batch? And you bring, if you have a laptop, you kindly bring into the lab on the day.
Okay, sir.
Okay, if you do not have, no problem.
Okay, sir.
But if you have, kindly bring it, because of sufficient systems are not available with us. Only few systems we have seen in a classroom, 10 or 15 we have, and yeah, each system allotted for from 3 or 4 members. In a first batch, we have actually it's almost 70 members maybe. So those who are having laptops, and just kindly bring the same into the lab. Okay, first day you have to attend. Anyone from other stations? I mean, other stations means other centers, not Warangal, from Vizag and Guntur, Tirupati. Tirupati, not Guntur. There is no center in Tirupati. Guntur. Anyone from Tirupati and Vizag? No.
Sir, which floor do we have to come? Second floor only, the same class?
Yeah, same class. No, same class.
Okay.
Yeah. Don't worry about your classes. First day you have to attend. We'll inform you all those. Okay.
Okay, sir.
Yeah. Okay, I'll take the class after. Okay. 3 o'clock. Actually, I have another class. Maybe I'm getting the class. Okay, tomorrow we'll take. Continue. Sunil sir will take. up to 3. Okay, I'll inform to him. You will take class up to. Okay.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, sir.
Yeah,
Thank
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you.